Shocking Star Wars theory rewrites Padme's origin story and explains why Luke is so powerful. This incredible Star Wars theory suggests that Padme Amidala may have a shocking blood relation outside the Skywalker family tree, and it makes Luke Skywalker's power make so much more sense. Padme is one of Star Wars' best characters, not only because of her importance to Anakin, Luke, and Leia, but also because of her immense influence on the galaxy. Notably, deleted scenes from Star Wars, Episode II, Revenge of the Sith revealed that Padme had helped to establish the rebellion. Even before that, though, Padme was a teenage queen who fiercely defended her people, putting her own young life on the line to protect them in Star Wars. Episode I, The Phantom Menace. Star Wars books have explored her role in much greater detail, including the days leading up to and immediately following her election to this position. This Star Wars theory suggests that Padme's time as the Queen of Naboo may have an even greater meaning, though, and it connects her to a shocking character. Padme originated from the royal house of Naboo. In Star Wars legends, Padme was part of the royal houses of Naboo, noble families of the planet that made up the aristocracy and government. It was from these families that the monarch was chosen, which explained Padme's role as queen, in addition to tradition explaining why Padme could be the monarch at such a young age, and why so many Naboo queens were also teenagers. Although the details previously explored in legends have not been entirely replicated in canon, the Royal House of Naboo has been referenced in various canon sources. Among these canon references are mentions in the Padme trilogy of books, Queen's Shadow, Queen's Peril, and Queen's Hope, all written by E.K. Johnston. Not only are these books canon, but they are also arguably the most definitive source material on Padme in Star Wars. Given this, it's safe to assume that, as was the case in legends, in canon, Padme comes from the royal houses of Naboo. It's safe to assume that, as was the case in legends, in canon, Padme comes from the royal houses of Naboo. Was House Palpatine one of the royal houses of Naboo? Padme may not be the only prominent character in Star Wars movies and TV shows who comes from the royal houses of Naboo. Given Palpatine's history and status on the planet, he may also come from these aristocratic families. Although surprising in light of all that Palpatine becomes, he too is from Naboo, a planet known for its lush appearance and an emphasis on the arts, from painting to poetry. Despite that backdrop to Palpatine's upbringing, he of course goes on to become one of Star Wars' most powerful Sith. Before that turn, though, Palpatine worked his way up through the ranks of the Republic Senate. What gave him his political start was his role as the Senator of Naboo in The Phantom Menace, and before it, the position that Padme would go on to hold after Palpatine became the Supreme Chancellor. Assuming the Naboo aristocracy works similarly in canon and legends, this would mean that Palpatine came from these very same aristocratic families, allowing him to become a senator. This is reinforced by the fact that, in canon as well as in legends, Palpatine's family is known to have been one with significant power and ties to Naboo history. This raises the bewildering question: could Palpatine and Padme have been distantly related? Could Palpatine and Padme have been distantly related? Royal houses often intermarry. Could Padme be related to Palpatine? While it may seem like a bit of a stretch, aristocratic families are known to intermarry, and the same could easily be true on Naboo, especially considering the planet had a monarchy, even if the queens were elected. With that in mind, it suddenly seems much more possible that Palpatine and Padme had some sort of relation, however distant it may be. This would have massive implications not only for her character, but also for Luke and Leia. Audiences have long speculated about whether Padme may have some sort of Force sensitivity. While she clearly was not strong with the Force, there are moments in the prequel movies in which Padme does seem to have some sort of connection to the Force. Perhaps the best example comes in Revenge of the Sith, when she is looking at the Jedi Temple from her apartment, and Anakin is simultaneously looking out the window of the Jedi Temple at the building in which she lives. More than just coincidental timing, Anakin and Padme appear to be genuinely connecting at that moment and sensing one another. This scene was actually highly reminiscent of the scene in The Empire Strikes Back when Leia is able to sense Luke and go rescue him after his fight with Darth Vader. It's possible that Padme was even able to use the Force so consciously, as was at times the case for Leia during her political days. Luke and Leia could have been born from two Force bloodlines, not just one. If this shocking theory proved true, it would be a major update to Luke and Leia's characters as well as Padme's. In fact, this blood relation to Palpatine would explain Luke's incredible Force abilities that much more, as he would have a relation to two of Star Wars' most powerful Force users. While surely Luke's connection to Anakin Skywalker, the Chosen One himself, is reason enough, this would add an extra layer to Luke easily being one of Star Wars' greatest Jedi. This would open up a whole other can of worms as well, given Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker infamously revealed that Rey was a direct descendant of Palpatine. This would mean that the kiss between Rey and Kylo Ren in The Rise of Skywalker was yet another example of family members kissing. Of course, this relation would be much more distant than Luke and Leia being twins, but it would still be an uncomfortable reality. At present, this Star Wars theory is entirely speculative, and the franchise may never confirm it one way or another. Even so, there is significant evidence that both Padme and Palpatine were part of the royal houses of Naboo, which makes it fairly likely they have some distant family connection somewhere. If that's the case, then Padme Amidala's most shocking blood relation could explain Luke Skywalker's immense power that much more.